and welcome to GBN Live. I'm your host, Tracy Hansen, with the Saybrook chapter of GBN. I'd like to welcome Gary Hayes today. Thank you, Gary, for being with us and joining us today on the program. Gary's with Scale Finance. Before we get started talking to him a little bit, I'd like to thank our sponsor, Grand Strand Law Group. You can reach them at 843-492-5422. They have offices in Myrtle Beach and North Myrtle Beach, and they are ready to help you with your real estate needs as well as wills and trusts and things of that nature. Their website is grandstrandlawgroup.com. And again, they're ready to help you with all your needs. I'd also like to mention that you can leave comments and questions for our guest today in the comment section. You may have a little trouble with that, so you might have to go to streamyard.com/Facebook, and that will grant us permission to show your comments. So be sure you do that, and any questions or comments you have, you can leave them in the comment section. So stay tuned. GBN Live is next, and we'll be talking to Gary Hayes. Hi, Gary. Thank you for being with us today.
Well, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. So now you're with the Grand Strand North Chapter of GBN, correct?
That's correct.
All right, very good. So we're going to talk a little bit about your business, Scale Finance, and all the services that you offer. But before we do, let's get to know you a little bit. Let's tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, your family.
Okay. Well, I've moved to the North Myrtle Beach area in 2017 on a full-time basis, down from the Triangle area of North Carolina. I lived in Chapel Hill and Durham over 20 years. Originally from the DC market on the Maryland side. That's where I went to school and University of Maryland graduate.
Me too.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I didn't graduate from the University of Maryland. I started there. Graduated from another one. College
both,
Park.
Undergraduate and graduate school there.
Very good.
So got married, have 3 kids from my first marriage, and so, but they're obviously grown and out of the house, and remarried, and my wife has 2 kids of her own, and we have 12 grandchildren between the 2 of us, 10 on my side, 2 on her side.
Wow.
So we spend most of our traveling time visiting grandkids and grandchildren. Actually, 8 of them live in Pittsburgh, which is
That's good. One-stop shop right there.
all close back. So that's kind of the background. Big sports fan on the outside of work stuff, and love college football, basketball.
Awesome.
Lived in Chapel Hill for a number of years, so we're a big Tar Heel fan. My son went to school there.
Oh, okay. All right. Very good. Very good. So I bet you have a lot of Christmas shopping to do with all those grandkids.
Well, we try to get through it.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about Scale Finance, who they are, how long they've been in business. I see this isn't your only location. They're also located in other areas as well.
Scale Finance as a company, we do what we primarily call fractional or part-time accounting services to the small business market, small, medium, generally companies over $1 million in annual revenue, up to maybe 15 to 20 million, kind of on the high end. So we do that by deploying CFO, chief financial officers, and controller types to those companies on a part-time basis. So most of our clients are probably between 2 and 10 million. So our primary service is the accounting services segment. We started the company. I was doing it on my own as a part-time CFO guy. My whole background is accounting and finance, and did a number of startups in the late 90s, early 2000s, when the last one ended in 2003. I threw a shingle out there and started doing consulting as a part-time CFO. Eventually got up with 2 of my partners I have as part of Scale, and we formed Scale late 2007 to early 2008 timeframe, and we're still together. So we're about 15. We're in our 15th year of operation under the Scale Finance. So in addition to the accounting services, we do a lot of transaction work. We help companies through a merger and acquisition process, raising capital, supplement that with valuation work. We also can do some search work, et cetera, in terms of helping our clients find full-time people. We also lose some of our people because they hire them.
Oh, right. Oh, my. I didn't
Same
even think about that.
time,
Right.
which, they're allowed
They're a
to
little
do.
too good.
Yeah, they're too good, right? So that's kind of what we do. And, we have a team of about, it floats between 25 and 30 folks. There are now 8 partners in the firm. We're geographically spread out across North Carolina. I'm the only one in South Carolina, but I was in the Triangle region originally for about 20 years
Right.
before I came here.
Very good. So you work with businesses on their processes, their procedures, systems, their employees, all that. So tell us a little bit about these services and how they can affect someone's business.
Happy to do that. On the accounting side, so typically if we get into a company, a lot of times we get invited to introduced to a company because there's something wrong. And their accounting is, they've not paid attention to it. And treat it more like a necessary evil so they can do a tax return at the end of the year.
Because accounting's not the fun part.
And that's not what they're at, right? And might be an engineer, or they have a marketing background, sales, whatever their business is about, that's what they know. And so the accounting, they do the bare minimum, and now the company is starting to gain traction, and and as soon as you start adding people, customers, it gets more complex. And so we come in and it's a bit of a mess. So initially we typically clean up the books, get them and educate the owner or owners, as the case may be. And it's not necessary evil. It is necessary. But this is a really good way to understand what's going on in your business. So you're tracking your revenue, you're tracking if you're selling a widget or a product, your your margins, how much you're making on each unit that you sell, managing your overhead, and understanding the timing of things when it happens. So when you spend money on marketing, and today the benefit may not show up for 6 months.
Right.
So you got to balance the cost going out the door versus what the revenue coming in the door when that all occurs. So we do a number of things. We clean them up. I call this to get them to a steady state support. We get that maintained going forward. We supplement, or generally, in addition to whatever they may already have in terms of internal staff, they may not have anything. They may have a bookkeeper, and we're not certainly going to replace the bookkeeper. We might, if they're not very good.
Right.
But then we can supervise them with a controller. And we generally like to start with a controller. They may not need a CFO yet at the stage that they're at.
Right. Okay.
And because they're our most expensive resource in terms of what the client would pay.
Right.
So, but we go from cleanup mode to steady state mode. And part of that education process is then meeting with them every month or every quarter at minimum on how you're doing. All right. And let's go over the numbers. And we try to teach them, you got to know numbers about your business. If the numbers are not in the books accurately, then it's not going to do much.
Right.
Generally, people complain about not having cash, revenue's growing, no money.
Right.
Theme. And so it's going somewhere.
Right.
And, a lot of times that is themselves. It's not the client. It's not the employee. They have poor business practices internally.
Right.
Collection processes, are not good. They bill for their product, and it's not being paid by a credit card. Then, if they let that client take 30, 60, 90 days to pay, and if it's a product, you had to pay your supplier in 30 days.
Right.
That math doesn't work.
Right. Run into some problems.
So, and you got to remember you're not the client's bank.
Right.
And if you invoice that's on you. That just the invoice, whenever they get the invoice, that's when they start from the client to their clock. So if you give them 30-day terms, then and then let them pay in 60.
Right. Right.
Uh,
Exactly.
And so we go in and fix all those things, try to tune that up so we can do as much as we can, just righting the ship and getting good practices and procedures done. So that's a lot of what we do early on. And then once that's stabilized, then we can then we start looking to add other services around that, such as forecasting your business. So not only are we looking backwards, we're looking forward. That's where the CFO type would come in, and
so you kind of build on that, up to that.
Talk to the owners. If you've been doing this for 10 years, you got a $3 million business, you're making okay money. And now that we got it all straightened out, you can actually see that. And but where do you want it to go with it? Right? You want to build it to a $10 million business, big business. What's the goal? And so we try to plant those seeds and try to get them to think about it. So if they own the whole company and they have kids that are in college, are they going to become part of the company? Are they going to take it over for you? Is that the exit strategy? What are you going to do with it? And if you get back with a bunch of Dad, I love you, but I don't want anything to do with this, which happens.
Sure.
And then you have to have a strategy of what you want to sell it. All right. So if you want to sell the business 10 years from now, then you have to make sure you're building it so it's in good shape to sell.
Sure.
And to maximize the value. That's where our valuation aspect of our services can also come into play.
Yeah.
We can help them figure out what it's worth.
Right.
Because their expectation versus what it really may be worth is usually fairly far apart. And I know that
it's not. I mean, it sounds like so much to do that you offer, but somebody doesn't have to come to you on a full-time basis. You also have part-time or even per project. You can help somebody or per out with. It doesn't have to be.
We're very flexible.
Years.
We're very flexible. So our primary is part-time. That's our primary thing, where we're providing these kind of resources part-time because the companies are too small generally to afford a full-time CFO because they're very expensive resources. Even down here in the Myrtle Beach area. A fully trained, very experienced CFO, so Raleigh, $250,000 a year salary, plus benefits and all that kind of stuff. Well, that's a lot of money for a $2 million business, and there's not enough activity for that person to do. So why waste money? So you rent one. So if you need someone, you need some strategic help versus just day-to-day accounting. And, maybe you need a couple days a month or a day a week, that kind of thing, and you go from there. And at some point, if you really need that resource at the time, and it's now the right time, then you can potentially hire our person. If that's what both sides want to do, or we can help you find someone, someone that's direct hire.
Right. Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we get back, we're going to talk a little bit more about scale finance and how you can help a company raise capital that they might need for their business. So stay tuned, everyone, and we will be right back.
Hi, I'm Justice Ann. I've been a canine liaison at Grand Strand Law Group for, 30 years? What's that? You don't believe me? I meant 30 dog years, of course. First rule of lawyering, read the fine print. Anywho, my humans at Grand Strand Law Group have a combined 20 years experience. I know, not as much as me, but that's in people years. So yeah, still pretty impressive. Real estate, estate planning, or probate, you need GSLG.
Grand Strand Law Group. Trust us, we have a dog.
Great Business Networking grew out of the idea that by creating lasting friendships within the community, we can make the community even better.
I was looking to network with professionals and to be able to refer my clients to somebody that I trust.
Well, it's really important to trust the members of the group because we really generate quality referrals, and to know somebody, be friends with them, and get the qualified referral is the key to success.
It is networking, but it doesn't feel like networking, and that is important to me. I come to the meetings, I have fun, I make great connections, and I help grow my business.
GBN, these are some of the best professionals in the market, and having that resource available to me, that's priceless.
Well, GBN is a network of business professionals that build long-lasting friendships that will not only grow my business, will grow yours as well. That's what referral marketing is all about.
GBN really is the most important marketing for your business. Check us out today.
Welcome back to GBN Live. I'm your host, Tracy Hansen, and today we're talking with Gary Hayes with Scale Finance. So before the break, we were talking about accounting services and the different types of services that you offer. I'd like to just talk a little bit about growth capital portion of your business. Can you explain that a little bit? Or
Yeah, there's, real quickly, there's really kind of two kinds of growth capital. So
Okay.
growth capital by the word means the company's at a stage where they are now need extra money to speed up the growth of their business and sort of grow
Right.
on the top
Gotcha.
line. And so they've already proven their product, they have customers, et cetera. Now they want to scale it up. So typically that comes from in the form of equity infusion, outside investors putting money into the company. And that looks like it could be from what they call angel investors, which are like individual high net worth folks that put money in, or if they're a company that can really scale, meaning that could become a very large company, that's where the venture capital community comes in. The methods are similar, the dollars are greater when
Right.
the venture guys get involved.
Sure.
So if it's a company that's not going to scale that much, it's going to scale. You're going from like a $3 million business and maybe you get it to 20 over 10 years versus 100 or 200, that kind of thing. Maybe do it through, through adding a debt facility, in terms of with a bank or some form of lender that provides you the additional capital you need to buy equipment,
Right.
Or fund marketing, broaden your product line, whatever it might be, so you can get a little bigger. Maybe it's an acquisition strategy. Come back to that, where you're going to grow by buying other companies like you in different markets to create a more rapid growth.
Right.
That's not as easy as it
Right.
sounds.
Takes money too.
It takes money, but it also, when you add a different company, different culture,
Sure.
the integration of those two is a major issue on why either mergers work or don't work, post the acquisition.
Right. Right.
That's a quick overview.
Right. Perfect. Because I'm sure if there's a lot to that, we could take up a lot of time. One thing I think is fantastic that you offer is your business evaluations. So what would a business need? Why would they need an evaluation to start with? And what are some of the things that you can recommend, or some ways that you can help them with that?
Yeah. So typically, if it's a private business, privately owned company, something is happening inside the business that requires the owner to get a better independent assessment of what their company is worth at that point in time.
Right.
So those kinds of things could be you're adding a business partner and you're going to sell, you own 100% today, you're going to add a partner, you're going to sell them 20% of the business, so you have to come up with a valuation metric of what it's worth, right? So that he can figure out what the buy-in is going to be and then how long it's going to take for that person to pay that off. So that's what we have. It also is helpful if you've been approached, you meaning the company, from an external party that wants to buy the business. And they throw something with the transom and say, we'll pay $5 million for the business. Sounds great, maybe, but you don't know what your company's worth.
Right.
Or maybe you think it's worth 10 or 15 million.
Right.
So what? So we can help figure out, what's a reasonable number, and then assess whether the offer, a tentative offer, is good or bad, and then figure out a strategy to go back to that particular potential buyer.
Gotcha. So I know you also offer no-cost consultations, which is a great way to get started. And how would somebody, a business owner, go about getting started with that? What does that entail? What can they expect?
Yeah, it's a fairly simple thing. I mean, basically, when we get introduced to a potential client, we're happy to come over or do it over the phone. Send me some information about the business. I'll do kind of like an interview with the team, of kind of figuring out what do you do, what kinds of problems you have, and be more specific than that. I don't tell me everything is fine, because probably not.
You're calling me for a reason.
And if we can come in and do a 2 or 3 hour, it's not going to be an in-depth analysis, but we can give you a good sense of where you're at, what's wrong, and what's going to take to fix it, that kind of thing, with that free service. And then we enter into an agreement for actual services. So give them a quote, that kind of thing, if they want us to.
Gotcha. So okay, we're going to do a fun little part of our show where we just kind of take a break and we do some rapid fire fun questions. Easy. Nothing to worry about. That just kind of lets us get to know you a little bit better personally. So tell me now, what was your first job?
Very first job.
Yes.
So I'm old. I think I went door to door selling Fuller, what they used to call Fuller brush. Selling. That was a hard job. That was tough.
Yeah.
But I was in high school.
Yeah, door to door is hard.
Yeah, a lot of doors slammed in my face.
Yeah, now they don't even answer because of the Ring doorbell, so they don't know you. They're not coming. Are you an early bird or night owl?
I get up early.
Yeah.
So, but I also stay up reasonably late too. So I'm a little bit of both. But I'm trying not to work at 10 o'clock at night. I can avoid it.
Right.
But I do get up early.
Now, I know the answer to this from our discussion before, but are you a dog or a cat person?
Definitely a dog.
Yes.
Have to.
Very good. And dark or milk chocolate?
I'd have to probably lean toward the milk chocolate.
All right. What's your favorite color?
Blue.
Nice. And do you have a favorite word or a favorite phrase?
Favorite phrase. That's hard to say. I have a lot of.
Depends on the situation, right?
A lot of it's business related. I always get business owners when they're coming down a strategy, and it's I like to tell them, I've seen this play or this movie.
Right.
I know
how it happens.
Right. That's one of my favorite ones. So.
Speaking of movies, then what's your favorite movie?
Favorite movie all time?
Yeah, why not?
Love the whole Godfather series, but back in the day.
Yeah.
I could still watch them now. So.
They're great. I know they're not on TV often, but we always stop on that too because you can always had a good part. What about a vacation spot? Where's your favorite spot to vacation?
Yeah. We used to. My wife loves the beach, so we always go to warm weather, occasional cruises. I've been to the Caribbean many times.
One of my favorites is I love the Virgin Islands.
Yeah, so we've been St. Thomas,
Cozumel. So beach.
Beach. Kind of.
Yep, and that's why you live here, right?
Beach and golf.
Yep,
those two.
Perfect. And what is your favorite mobile app?
My favorite mobile app. You give me a heads up.
There's GBN.
Besides GBN?
Yeah, GBN's got an app. That's my favorite.
So, in addition to GBN, well, I'm a news. GBN. I like a lot of the news sites in terms of the streaming services, that kind of stuff. Yeah, awesome, very good. Well, that was a fire little portion of our show. So, just kind of break up the questions a little bit. But let's get back to. I was on your website, and I was under the knowledge tab.
which had a lot of great information. And something that caught my eye was the skill building for entrepreneurs. What is that about, and where do you?
Well,
where do
it's
you do that?
a couple ways to answer that. So well, an entrepreneur, especially if they're brand new at trying to start a business, I always coach people that are entering, deciding to want to do something like that. And I said, right up front, this is the hardest thing you're ever going to do if you're serious about it. Right?
That's for sure.
And so I go through a checklist. So, are you married? Nothing against being married. And do you have children?
Yeah.
Okay.
Two huge
Have you
factors.
told your spouse? It can go either direction now. It's not a male-female thing. Have you told them you're not going to make any money for the next 2 years? Or if you don't the opposite, say we're going to strike it rich in 6 months.
Right.
Both. The first one is true. The second one is
Right.
So, and that's
as much as we wish it the other way around.
So it's kind of a qualifying experience because
it's an eye opener.
Because they see, the press, stuff on social media about all these, successful exits from startups.
Right.
And they're, for every one of those, there's 1,000 that fail.
Right.
It's like being a baseball player. If you're a 300 hitter, you're making $20 million a year, but even that guy still making a house 7 times out of 10.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And how many people make it to the big leagues or NFL or basketball, that kind of thing. So, but in terms of actual skills, I mean, a successful entrepreneur is one that knows their own limitations, knows what they're really good at, and they can emphasize what they're good at and build a team around them that can augment those skills that he's weak in.
Right.
Or she is weak in.
Which is just as important to know what you're weak in, I believe, than what you're strong in, because that's where you come in.
And you have to realize you can't do it all by yourself.
Right.
Right. Because some people are so focused on the control that they lose sight of everything, and they become the cog that slows everything down. Right. If you're going to take outside money, you can't run it that way. Very rarely. It works for a while, but eventually it will fail. Because people will get turned off, especially in today's age. I mean, it's if you're asking somebody to work 50, 60, 70 hours a week in the early stage of a startup, you got to make it fun. You're probably not paying them top dollar yet, but you're trading equity. There's some equity for that. But you got a culture and a positive environment, for everybody. So having the skills to recognize what you're good at, bringing a team of advisors and early employees is absolutely critical. And so there is another cliche. Yes, cliches. So one employment is you hire slowly, and fire fast.
Okay.
Because
that's good advice.
Because if you're in a rush, you're hitting a growth curve. You got to get people, and you start hiring anybody, especially in today's employment market where it's very tight. There are not a lot of great people around that haven't already been gobbled up.
Right.
You still have to take enough time because if you make a mistake, and it happens all the time, then it's very expensive, and it's not just dollars in terms of the cost of a bad hire, because the turmoil that person can cause the rest of your team can be huge, and you can lose a year of time, let alone money, in terms of what you're trying to do. So you got to take your time, figure out that it's always going to be a bit prep in terms of what you're going to end up with, but take your time and try to find the right person you're trying, especially if it's a key member of your management.
That can grow with you. Yeah, that's great advice. So thank you again for joining us today. You can get in touch with Gary at 919-618-2551, and that is on scalefinance.com. We have one more question for you, Gary. Before we go, can you tell us why referral marketing is an important part of your business and why you chose to go with GBN to meet those needs?
Todd's a great guy. He only paid me $10 to say that. No, referral marketing for my business is absolutely critical. It's a relationship type business. And I've tried a number of different marketing techniques over the last 15 years, and still number one is referrals, however you get them. And GBN is a great resource in the sense of, I have our chapter now has, I think, 25 members, and
Great.
And each one is a referral source.
Yep.
For the other member, and I don't need 50 of them every day.
Right.
But if I get a few, that's fine, because in my business, most of them last a while. It's not like I'm just selling a widget.
Right.
But it's in addition to establishing the relationship with the people in our chapter, as well as the other chapters, then the more you work at it, it's like anything else you do. If you invest in the time to get to know people, doing the one-to-ones, things like that, it does pay back. And,
Right.
and you don't know when.
Right.
That's the random nature of referral marketing, is you just don't know when. You just know it's going to, but you don't know when.
Right. Especially in this day and age with everything so digital, a referral is gold.
If you have a warm introduction to someone,
Exactly.
It's worth its weight in gold.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, again, thank you. It was a pleasure talking to you today. Up next at 11, we have Jacqueline Clancy. And thank you for joining us at GBN Live. Remember, if it's Wednesday, it's GBN Live Day. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.